Well, have you heard of Harrison Butker? Up until last week, I hadn't. Have you heard of Kansas City Chiefs? Or maybe if you follow the NFL, I mean, they did win the Super Bowl this year, apparently. Have you heard of Benedictine College, a Catholic college in Kansas? Nope, me neither. But now, Harrison Butker is one of the biggest topics in the US. Why? Well, because he dared to speak about Catholic teaching at a Catholic school. I know. Shocking. So some sports stars make headlines for drug abuse or acts of violence or sexual assault, even gambling, as we saw last week with an ex-Phoenix player. But one NFL football player in the US is taking heat for publicly promoting Christian values. A week ago, three-time Super Bowl champion NFL kicker Harrison Butker, who I've never heard of before, delivered the commencement at the Catholic Benedictine College, encouraging young graduates to stand firm in their faith and live out authentic Christian virtues. The 28-year-old, who's a professing Catholic, took aim at what he considers to be absent, negligent, and even narcissistic leadership, both within his own church and the wider culture. Now, let me play a few excerpts and you'll quickly realise why the woke and the media were triggered by his speech in a major way. Here's sort of near the beginning.
While COVID might have played a large role throughout your formative years, it is not unique. Bad policies and poor leadership have negatively impacted major life issues. Things like abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, as well as a growing support for degenerate cultural values in media, all stem from the pervasiveness of disorder. Our own nation is led by a man who publicly and proudly proclaims his Catholic faith, but at the same time is delusional enough to make the sign of the cross during a pro-abortion rally. He has been so vocal in his support for the murder of innocent babies that I'm sure to many people, it appears that you can be both Catholic and pro-choice. He is not alone. From the man behind the COVID lockdowns to the people pushing dangerous gender ideologies onto the youth of America, they all have a glaring thing in common. They are Catholic. This is an important reminder that being Catholic alone doesn't cut it. These are the sorts of things we are told in polite society to not bring up. You know, the difficult and unpleasant things. But if we are going to be men and women for this time in history, we need to stop pretending that the Church of Nice is a winning proposition. We must always speak and act in charity, but never mistake charity for cowardice.
Yep, and then he dared to poke the bear, to challenge the new cultural religion and have a go at the media as well. And he'll mention AP, which is the Associated Press, which is a media outlet that New Zealand media use a lot. And he was poking the media because this was in relation to the fact that this Catholic college had experienced significant growth.
I am certain the reporters at the AP could not have imagined that their attempt to rebuke and embarrass places and people like those here at Benedictine wouldn't be met with anger, but instead met with excitement and pride. Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride that is cooperating with the Holy Ghost to glorify him.
Woo. Right. Well, you probably know now why there was such a furor. How dare he? How dare he? But it got worse because he had a word for the women.
For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross this stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. She's the primary educator to our children. She's the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and father. She's the person that knows me best at my core, and it is through our marriage that, Lord willing, we will both attain salvation. I say all of this to you because I have seen it firsthand, how much happier someone can be when they disregard the outside noise and move closer and closer to God's will in their life. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you asked her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no.
Yeah, well, as commentators said, the critics hated that Butker paid tribute to his wife, Isabel, for making him successful, for assuming one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. That is like a curse word to the feminists. And note, he didn't say they shouldn't have careers. He did suggest that many women, especially Catholic women, in fact, Christian women in general, put motherhood first. But before you judge his word to the women, he also had a word for the men.
To the gentlemen here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture. And when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the U.S., and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better.
Wow. Fancy encouraging women to be mothers and men to be fathers. Next, we'll be really radical and encourage girls to be daughters and males to be sons. How unique. Don't tell Inside Out or the Human Rights Commission. Now, following his remarks, the NFL distanced itself from the kicker. His views are not those of the NFL as an organisation. According to the NFL Senior Vice President and Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, he wrote, "The NFL is steadfast in our commitment to inclusion, which only makes our league stronger." End quote. Well, just to clarify, if the speaker had praised Biden, abortion, gay marriage and Pride Month, it would be sweet. Diversity and inclusion only applies if the cultural priests agree with your view. If they don't, then you're excluded. And Butker's speech predictably promoted a Change.org petition calling him for him to be fired by the Chiefs. Change.org is a bit like rent a signature. The petitions mean nothing and do nothing. But it called the players dehumanizing comments sexist, homophobic, anti-trans, anti-abortion, and racist, and every other mean label that we can put on it. Now, for some reason, they didn't mention that it was pro-family, pro-marriage, and pro-life. And in fact, the worst thing was that Kansas City website actually doxed him, which means they published where he lives, which is pretty shocking. So they shout inclusion as they exclude someone who they disagree with. Now, ironically, Tavia Hunt, who is the wife of the Chiefs owner, Clark Hunt, released a statement in support of the team's kicker via Instagram on last Thursday. And, well, I mean, it's kind of ironic that it's coming from a woman, and she says, Affirming motherhood and praising your wife, as well as highlighting the sacrifice and dedication it takes to be a mother, is not bigoted, she wrote. It's empowering to acknowledge that a woman's hard work in raising children is not in vain. Countless highly educated women devote their lives to nurturing and guiding their children. And she also knocked down the ludicrous notion that a difference of opinion is mean-spirited. She said, someone disagreeing with you doesn't make them hateful, she said. It simply means they have a different opinion. Let's celebrate families, motherhood and fatherhood. Our society desperately needs dedicated men and women to raise up and train the next generation in the way they should go. Proverbs 31:28 says, her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Embracing the beautiful roles that God has made is something to celebrate. Whew! I'm surprised she hasn't also got attempts to cancel her in a change.org petition against her. Now, you know how the NFL put out a statement condemning the speech? Well, at a similar time, one of the other players turned himself into Dallas police, an NFL player turned himself into Dallas police on multiple charges, including aggravated assault, was involved in a high-speed crash that left 4 people with injuries. He left the scene without providing information or determining whether anyone needed medical attention, so he did a runner. And he was also suspected of assaulting a person at a downtown nightclub. What did the NFL say in response to these actions? Nothing. Crickets. Yeah, typical, eh? But here's the really funny part. Harrison's jersey is now one of the most popular. In fact, I've never purchased an NFL shirt, but this might be the first one. And what's really ironic is that the woman's model was the first to sell out. Now, even the New Zealand media got triggered. Here's a New Zealand Herald story. NFL kicker Harrison Butker rails against Pride Month and President Biden during the commencement address. That is just shocking. Now, this was an Associated Press report, AP, the media that Butker had a dig at. But then the Herald had their own Kiwi reporter have a go 2 days later, another report. And Kansas City Chiefs Harrison Butker's controversial speech kicks off celebrity criticism. Oh, there's nothing worse than Hollywood criticism, is there? And they list the critics of the speech, 6 of them versus 1 supportive voice, which is about the usual ratio for balance in the media. And interestingly, they didn't mention Tavia Hunt's comments. And given she's the wife of the owner of the football club, they're quite significant, aren't they? And as you'd expect, NewsHub got triggered as well. Backlash after Kansas City Chiefs player Harrison Butker calls Pride Month a deadly sin, bemoans diversity initiatives. Diversity initiatives? What? Oh, wait, actually, can you see there? It's a CNN report. NewsHub has become New Zealand's version of CNN. And one of the big criticisms of the speech is that he quoted a line from a Taylor Swift song. Yes, Tay-Tay. He said, familiarity breeds contempt. And remember, for those who don't know, and I didn't, Taylor Swift dates Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce. And Tay-Tay fans aren't happy with Harrison for his speech at the Catholic College, apparently, if you believe the media. The report slammed the speech and could only find people who hated the speech. But interestingly, they never contacted people who were actually there.
Harrison Butker's commencement speech sparked lots of reaction over social media. So we listened to those reactions from people in Kansas City to students here at Benedictine College who were there themselves.
Oh, what a
I mean,
great
you could
idea.
see it in the video. If you were to see it, the majority of people stood at the end.
Allison was in the audience on Sunday, one of Benedictine College's newest grads. The Catholic Liberal Arts College in Atchison, Kansas welcomed a special guest to deliver its commencement speech.
I would like to start off by congratulating all of you for successfully making it to this achievement today.
The words Harrison Butker's speech were the second most searched on Google Wednesday because some took issue with Butker's message.
I didn't feel like he was threatening me as a woman or making me any less of a woman.
Allison and her friends say they felt mostly support among their fellow classmates.
And I think that you have to say, like, yeah, maybe that isn't exactly like everything that the way I would have said it, but I respect that that is what you believe in.
Yeah, well, you may not agree with everything he said in his speech, but be sure to read it all in context before judging. But when a Catholic speaks to Catholic students at a Catholic college about Catholic teaching, he's probably on the money. The fact that the media and cultural elite got triggered absolutely confirms he was speaking truth. Oh, and by the way, I tried to buy his jersey last night. It's sold out at the moment. So popular. Although that's probably something the media won't mention in their follow-up report.